Hi everyone, Tony Tonkin here from the Child Protection Party with a very special live feed tonight because last week, or during this week actually, you may remember Avery and I talked about launching a program which makes social workers accountable, or those working in child protection anyway, accountable to their behaviour and asking you to identify behaviours that you think are either helpful or unhelpful. And as a result of that discussion between Avery and I while we were live, and some fabulous feedback we've had from so many people that watched that particular feed, we decided that we would go ahead and we would implement this particular program. Now, Avery in a moment is going to run through the program with you, tell you a little bit more about how it works. But in the meantime, we'd just like to welcome you to CPP TV. So Avery's going to talk about how this program works because it's now designed a web page, a page on our website for you to access. So I guess after today, those of you that have seen the video, I would like you to access this page if you have issues with regard to good or bad, positive or not, helpful or unhelpful feedback in relation to the social workers that you've been working with when you're working with the Department of Child Protection. So we'd like you also to share this particular feed. And if you just happen to be watching this feed on YouTube, of course we have many thousands of people that watch YouTube videos from the Child Protection Party. But if you happen to, we'd just ask you to subscribe as well so you can receive future notifications about when there's some new product, new information that we're providing through CPP. So what we'd like you to do though is to share this particular Facebook feed, because it's really important that as many people who have contact with Child Protection Services contact or use this page to talk about their experiences in relation to the behaviour that they experience from child protection workers. So I'd like to welcome Avery. Hi, bub.
Hi, Tony. How are you today?
I'm good.
Good.
Yep.
Good.
Been had a good day. And we've had this is the second time we've had a feed, isn't it?
It is. Yeah. We had that short feed that we did earlier on today where I said I could spend no more than about 20 minutes, and we ended up spending nearly an hour.
What can we say? We're very talkative type people.
I certainly are.
So would you like to bring up the webpage straight away, or do you want to talk about the way you put this together and what it all means?
Well, I don't need to talk about how I built the form, but the idea behind this is that not so much me, but people like Tony and he hears stories about the behaviours of the social workers in the child protection system. Some of them are helpful, some of them are not so helpful. And we came up with this idea when we were chatting on doing a live feed earlier this week, that we would see if we could collect information about the helpful behaviours and the unhelpful behaviours. More interested with the unhelpful ones, because if we were able to collect, say, I don't know, a couple of dozen, we'll say, reports about a particular social worker who's displaying unhelpful behaviours, then we could do things like write to that person's manager and ask that they take steps to correct that behaviour in some way. Equally, if we received a lot of reports saying this particular social worker is really good, then that person needs to be praised for it. And this form that I've designed is to enable you to provide that sort of information to us, and I guarantee you, if we get the right sort of information, we will act upon it. One thing I will say on this form is what we don't want is to receive the Child Protection Department is a load of crap, or the Child Protection Department is a bunch of paedophiles, or whatever. Specific comments about specific social workers is what we're after. If it's just a generic complaint about it, we're just going to ignore it, because we can't do anything with generic complaints.
Yeah, so I think we need to stress Avery, that this is really about people's behaviours.
Yeah,
So it's what they say or do.
yeah,
So people will say and do things which will cause people to feel or to believe that they're not heard, they're not listened to, that what they have to say is of no consequence, that people keep revisiting their past and they find that an unhelpful thing to do, that social workers sometimes might. I heard of someone the other day who raised their voice to a client, to a parent. And there are a whole host. There's a range of behaviours, and I think you're about to go through some of those behaviours.
yeah,
But I also want to stress that this conversation is also about not excluding helpful behaviours, those
yeah,
things that people do that people find really helpful. Because the thing is that if we could get a list of helpful behaviours, then this could be the benchmark from which child protection workers could work or should work. And part of the problem in the child protection system, Avery, is that the stakeholders, those people that are involved with the system, very rarely have a voice and are very rarely heard. So this is your opportunity to be heard about what you would like to be changed in terms of the behaviours of some social workers, to be specific about who those social workers are specifically, or child protection workers generally, and to talk about both helpful and unhelpful behaviours. So we'll go straight to the form,
yeah.
and then you can start.
If you go to the top part of the form, please. That's it. No, that's it. Where?
Just there, yep.
Just a tad more. No, sorry, that's it. No, my mistake. That's it. That's fine. As you can see on the form there, the first thing we ask for is your first name. We're asking for that. We don't need your last name. There, we just want to, if we contact you, we don't want to say, hey, anonymous. We want to be able to say, hi, Amanda. Thank you for this. The phone and the, excuse me, the phone and the email address is just that if we want to clarify something or get more detail from you, then we can contact you either by phone or email. We need to know what's the name of the social worker or workers, because you can report more than one on this form, what state you're in, and then the Child Protection Department office. So, if you're in New South Wales, you might be working, the social worker might be based in the Parramatta office. So you would say New South Wales Parramatta.
Yep.
Then, as Tony was just saying, as I said, we're interested in their behaviours that are both helpful and unhelpful. So if Tony, if you can just click on where it says helpful, that's the one. And you can see we've got a small list there of helpful behaviours. I can't read them all unless I get closer.
Attentive conversations or positive, does not dismiss your views, does not ignore changes you have made, does not interrupt you when you are speaking, returns calls and emails. That's the important one. Tells you about all meetings and is non-judgmental. Yep, they're the sorts of things. And there'll be others as well. So please, we ask people to add to these lists as well. We could update this too, could we not, as time goes by?
Very easy.
Yep.
If you scroll down just an inch, centimetre, we're in Australia where you use centimetres, other good behaviours not listed above. So if there's something that we haven't got in that list, just write it in there. And then the field immediately beneath that is where it gives you the opportunity to describe in your own words. Somebody was very attentive to you, and they didn't ignore the sort of things, the changes that you'd made, for example. So you'd write something about that in there, how that person helped you, how their attitude towards you, their behaviours towards you were positive, and they made you feel better. If you get what I mean. If you had some sort of a file, you've got a letter, we'll say an email from your social worker who was very positive, praising you for the efforts that you've been putting in, for example. If you want to upload that, you can do, which is on that little box just beneath the comments field there. Upload any files, I think it says.
And I think Avery, just on that point, we could, if we're giving positive comments back to people as well, that often enhances our position with them. So
Yep.
the chances of a better outcome are likely to be there if the worker feels that or believes that they're being supported by you, even. I know that often seems about face because they should be supporting you. But if we're saying positive things about somebody, we know that ourselves, don't we? If someone says something positive about you, you're more likely to engage with them than if they're being angry and aggressive and all that other sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So this is also an opportunity because we have their name. So this is an opportunity for us to acknowledge that what they're doing is helpful.
Yes. Yeah. So if you go back to the thing there, just check the unhelpful box and scroll so you can see we've come up with an awful lot of unhelpful behaviors, and most of that came from people watching the live feed that we did the other day.
Yeah.
Tony came up with maybe a dozen or so, and then Wendy Hawkins and a number of other people in the comments and in messages to me came up with all the rest of them. I'm not again. My eyesight's not that brilliant, so Tony could read out some of them, but you can read them nice and plainly on the, clearly on the form on the website.
Things like conversations are always negative. They should not be. There should always be some positive element to any conversation you have with a social worker or other. Dismissive of your views, failures to acknowledge work I've done to address concerns, focuses on your past. My views not represented in documents. Not being heard, not listened. That goes to told to leave your current relationship, told what I can and cannot say during access. Those sorts of things I think are relevant to most people.
Yeah.
And certainly if you're finding that's your experience, then this is the place to tick that box. And I think you can tick any number of boxes.
You can tick as many boxes as you need to. And that's in the helpful behaviors and the unhelpful behaviors. You can also, if there's something that a behavior that you've encountered that you consider unhelpful that's not in that list, you can put it in that box that Tony's pointing to right now. I don't know if you can see where he's pointing, but the other unhelpful behavior not listed above. I've actually got other good behavior not listed above. I'll have to fix that because we don't want both of them showing in there at the moment.
I guess it'll probably be negative or the other. I just noticed, Avery, that someone did post here. I'm betting only 5%. This is Tanya. I'm betting only 5% get good reviews.
That wouldn't surprise me.
I think that's probably pretty spot on. But we're hoping that a few more people are a little bit more positive about the work that they receive than just that. It would be nice if it was more, to be honest.
Yeah.
But in terms of the number of people we have contacting us, it is unlikely.
Yeah, so, and back on that form, if you just scroll down a little bit, just above the box that says "I'm not a robot," it's got the thing there that you can upload files to support what you're saying about the unhelpful behaviours.
Yep.
And you can upload up to 20 of them. I didn't put it on there, but a maximum of 10 megabytes each. So if you've had a letter come from your social worker that was you felt was unhelpful, if it's either paper, an email, you can just upload it onto that form, and that'll come through to us, and we can use that would be evidence that we could use if we wrote to a child protection department about that particular social worker that you've named up the top there.
That's right. And I think we just need to stress to everybody that this exercise will be completely fruitless, and the time that Avery spent on designing this form and we've spent putting it all together would also be fruitless unless you get involved.
Yeah.
Unless you participate by, I'd be delighted if we had a couple of hundred responses around this. I'd be even more delighted if we had a particular theme happening in terms of the types of behaviours that people find distressing.
Yeah.
And from this, we could gather a whole host of data that we can then take back to the department to have them discuss and possibly change. So this what we're doing here is kind of revolutionary in lots of ways. I think I've never seen it done before. anywhere in the world for that matter, but it will only be successful if you get involved.
Yeah, it's vital that the people out in the real world, not my world, which is not real, but the people out in the real world who are going through this, these problems, it's vital that you take the time, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, however long you need, to fill out that form and send it in. One thing I didn't say, which I should have said, is at the top of the form where we ask for your name, your telephone number, your mobile, we will not under any circumstances divulge that to anybody outside of the Child Protection Party executive. The only people that will see it would be like me, Tony, maybe Wendy, or somebody like that. But if we wrote a letter to the Department of Child Protection here in SA, we would not be saying Wendy Smith wrote this about that child protection worker. Yeah. And if they asked us for it, it would be, no, you're not getting it.
And I think this is probably taking a giant leap to a place that perhaps I shouldn't go, but if there is further action that needs to be taken against a department for continual disregard for the interest of children and their parents, then at the end of the day, this could be the foundation for some information that could be used legally.
Yep.
against the department for the decisions that they make that are harmful. For example, if there's one particular social worker who continually diminishes and diminishes and puts down and is negative towards a parent, and that is unproductive and damages the parents, that is, the parents suffer as a result in terms of their mental well-being and so on, and that's because of the social worker. And we have a list of complaints in relation to that one social worker. And as I said before, I do have a social worker in mind in relation to this. But it could mean then that if we've notified the department, Avery, and they choose to do nothing, and these reports about that particular social worker keep coming in, then I think we may have at least a body of information and evidence that we could then take to a solicitor and choose to take legal action against the department for not behaving in ways that are protecting clients.
Yeah, if there was sufficient complaints against the department, we could be looking at class actions as well.
Well, that's kind of where I was going.
Okay.
My wife keeps talking to me about we should look for ways by which we can take class actions against the department.
She's a wise woman, your wife. I am well known in my history at my former employees of being somebody who will go where angels fear to tread. Sufficient complaints coming in from our supporters here. Sufficient complaints backed up with evidence, and I would have no problem with approaching a solicitor and saying, can we do a class action on this if the department's done nothing?
Yeah, precisely. And I think this is where it could lead eventually, and I'm going to labour this point every time we talk about this from now on. Unless you get involved, it will go nowhere. So we have a whole host of people over who contact us over time, and they'll say to us, they'll say to me, we need to take this to court. We need to, make sure the department's accountable for their behaviour. Well, one person alone is not going to do that. Firstly, because you don't have the finances, and secondly, because you just don't have the body of evidence. But I guess what we're saying here is that we're prepared to accumulate that body of evidence, so that if that ever became a possibility, at least we would be prepared for that.
Yeah.
And I think that there are many cases the department, through their inadequacies, poor decision making, poor training of their workers, lousy if ineffective supervision, are neglectful of parents and kids in a big way.
Yep.
And at some point, maybe the only lesson that anybody ever is going to learn is if those matters are taken to court, if they're promoted through the media, and if finally they have to pay somebody large amounts of money for remuneration. So I'm hoping that this exercise that we're doing now, if everybody participates, can have that response. So could people please share this particular video on Facebook and share it if you're watching it on YouTube.
Yep.
Any final words around any of this, Ace, before we go?
Yeah, if you've got a Twitter account and an Instagram account and you're following us on that, share it there as well.
Yep.
No, the final words, just going to stress again, your personal information will remain personal. It will remain private and confidential. We will not disclose that to anybody. A sufficient number of complaints, and I don't mean hundreds. If we get 10 complaints about a particular social worker coming from disparate parts of the South Australia, for example, that is showing a pattern. We will definitely take action, writing to the minister, or writing to the to that person's supervisor, writing to the minister if we have to, writing to the media. I'm sure the Department of Child Protection would love to appear with Tracy Grimshaw on A Current Affair.
Yeah, and I think all those things are now more likely to become a possibility.
If we've got the evidence.
We've got the evidence, and we've got a number of people that are prepared to talk about their situation as well. And we get people that every now and again will contact us one at a time about issues. But if we had 10 to 15 people complaining about exactly the same thing, about exactly the same social worker, then that is some body of evidence we could take to the department and to others to have some action taken around.
The last thing I want to say about this, just going to repeat something I said at the beginning, is this is not for a general whinge or criticism of the Child Protection Department in your state. We want specific detail. No facts is crap, docs is crap. That's useless to us. All right. Now, John Smith does these unhelpful behaviours. That is useful. Yeah. Right. John Smith displays these helpful behaviours. That's useful as well. But facts is a load of crap. Doesn't help us at all.
That's exactly right. And Avery, where can people, if people just access our webpage? Right?
If they go to the web,
childprotection.party.
Yeah, if they go to childprotection.party. I've put the link in the Facebook in this feed. Childprotection.party, and it's social workers behaviours patterns. But you can also find it by going to community, and I'm pretty sure I'm just going to check it. I'm pretty sure it's just straight under community. You click on community, and a third from the bottom, you'll see social worker behaviours. You just click on that, and that'll bring up that page and that form.
So find it, fill it out if you've got an issue either about helpful or unhelpful behaviours, and submit it. And we will start storing them.
Yes, I've just thought one other thing, Tony.
Yep, sure.
For everybody, that when you go to this page, make sure you read the comments in there first. Read the text that I've put. Watch Tony's video. Watch read all the notes, and then fill out the form.
Yeah. And so we've got two videos up. We've got the one that you'll find on that page, and we've got one we did the other day. Avery and I just introducing this. Then there's this one. So get active, get involved, because that's the only way we'll bring about significant change.
It is.
And also join us if you haven't already, and share. If you're on Facebook, if you share this page. If you're elsewhere, subscribe on YouTube and ring that bell. Thanks, Avery. That was great. And what we'll do is we'll report back to you every week about how this is progressing. And if we've only got 0 or 2 or 3, we'll be making an issue of that, I reckon.
Yeah.
It'll be a sad indication that people don't care.
It would be.
It
would be.
Okay, let's see what happens and get involved. Thanks, Avery.
You're welcome.
To everybody else, and just stay online, Avery, for a second.
Just
be safe, everybody, and look after yourself.